Hi, this is Steve Wilson from Porcupine Tree, and I'm doing this little thing today for Rock Hard magazine. They've asked me to talk about, basically the back catalogue of Porcupine Tree. There's 10 studio records, and going back to 1992, and so I'm just going to say a little bit about each one, and my memories and perceptions of the albums. So the first album was 1992, and it was called On the Sunday of Life, and it was really, it wasn't really an album as such, it was more a collection of tracks that I'd been recording over a long period of time, even going back to when I was still at school, and in a particular style. And so it's all kind of solo stuff. It's very diverse. There's everything from psychedelic pop music to ambient instrumentals to something perhaps that would more point the way to the future direction of Porcupine Tree. And I kind of like it for that. It's very playful, and it's not, not all the music is fantastic, and some of it is not stood the test of time so well. But it was partly because a lot of the music was made very quickly, and I didn't really think too much about it. It was just made in a kind of spirit of fun. But there was a couple of tracks on that record that kind of made me think that there was a starting point for something more, with more kind of longevity, and in particular the track Radioactive Toy on that record, which was more kind of progressive. It was very inspired by Pink Floyd, and people loved that track. They really liked that track on that record, and so in a way I kind of thought, well, I could maybe do something more in that vein, and that really led to the second album, Up the Downstairs, which is still a solo record. I'm still just working on my own in the studio, playing, I guess, with the possibilities of multi-tracking and overdubbing myself. And that record was more focused on that one particular aspect of the first record. So trying to find, I guess, more of a direction, rather than this kind of mixture of different styles and different approaches. And that's a record I'm still very proud of. I actually went back and I replaced all the drum machines, which I'd been using at the time, with real drums. Gavin, our drummer, played real drums on that a few years ago, and I think that made a big difference to the record, because I always thought the songs were good, but the production was very, kind of basic and primitive, and I was working with sampled drums, because I didn't have access to a good drummer or a budget to record real drums at the time. So that really helped that record. I think it's one of the early records. And then leading on from that, the third album, The Sky Moves Sideways from 1995, was really the final word, in a way, of that kind of approach. Very slow, very atmospheric, very Floydy. For me personally, way too much now. When I listen back to it, it's too much wearing that influence on its sleeve. And I know a lot of people really like that record. I think because it's very Floydy. But for me, that record is always a slight strange one in the catalogue, because I never wanted to be someone that would emulate somebody else. So it was kind of an experiment that I felt needed to be left behind. Kind of a little bit ambivalent about that record, but I know it's a fan favourite. And when I listen to it, I think, well, it's well done, but it's not really what I wanted to do. So Signify, the next album from 1996, was the first time, or it was a few firsts really. The first time I actually had a band to work with, a live drummer. Colin came in on bass, and they kind of made guest appearances on the previous records. This is the first time there was actually a band kind of mentality going on, and I think immediately that began to make the music more interesting and more unique because you suddenly had a fusion of 4 personalities and 4 different sets of influences and inspirations. So Signify, I think, is the first of what you might call the modern sort of Porcupine Tree records, in the sense you're starting to get a mixture of quite heavy rock, ambient music, almost industrial elements, the use of more what you might call personal lyrical concerns, and that kind of philosophy really kind of carries through to the modern day band. So I'm very proud of Signify. I think that's probably of the early years. That's the key record. That's where the band sound kind of came together for the first time. And I really like the album cover too. It's one of my favourites. Stupid Dream, the next album, was another step into something else because it was first time I really tried to write what you might call songs, in the sense that they started from the point of view that they were about the vocals, and I'd never done that before. Even the tracks with vocals on the previous album started out as instrumentals that I then tried to find ways to put my voice in, and I didn't and I still don't have a great deal of confidence with my singing. I'm quite limited, so I've managed to find a way over the years of making my voice work in the context of the music. But Stupid Dream was really a new sort of step in terms of confidence for me, and I started to use a lot more layering of my voice and harmony vocals, and I was listening a lot to great harmony vocal groups like the Beach Boys, Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Todd Rundgren. If you don't know these guys are just, if you ever want to understand about harmony vocal singing, these are really the innovators for me. Brian Wilson, Todd Rundgren and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. So there's a lot more vocally orientated music on this record. And I think some people at the time thought it was some kind of way of a sellout because it was more song-based. And it was an attempt somehow to be more commercial. And of course it wasn't, and nothing has ever been in Porcupine Tree an attempt to manoeuvre in any way closer to commercial mainstream. It's always been very much driven by what music excites and interests me or us at the time.